Good morning. Let's have a cup of coffee together and talk about something that I think is important because I get this asked all the time. Steffi, how can I take any time off? Even one day in some cases. But let's talk about how you could take off 2 weeks and not have things collapsing behind you. This is a problem that I think a lot of people are facing, a lot of business owners. And especially if you're running a high expertise business. So you're a geek, and I mean this in the best of ways because I am one myself. So essentially, you have a lot of knowledge in your brain that is only there, only in your brain. It's not documented somewhere, it's not made into some training system. Or in any case, your experience is that you get pinged all day, all the time by all kinds of people on your team or your customers or both, or partners. And it's really hard to envision how you might even have the opportunity to take actual time off, really off, not being pinged, through text messages or instant messages, email, phone calls, etc. And so, how can you do that? Well, we've got to think about ways that you can take knowledge out of your brain and put it into something that people can refer to. I call it actually a brilliance system because, when you think about the things that you have in your brain, it's experience, it's expertise, and it's wisdom. Wisdom is what's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Well, knowledge is just knowledge. That's fine. It's great. But wisdom is to know when you do what. What do you do with that knowledge? How do you apply that knowledge? Which bit of the knowledge do you apply when? So I call that brilliance for short because otherwise it's kind of a mouthful. And it can be Einsteinian or Elon Musk type brilliance, but in many cases it's not. But it's equally valuable. It's the fuel that makes your business run, isn't it? Think about it. So sometimes I demonstrate this. I didn't bring a jar, but let's say if this is the jar and you fill it, with a fluid, then that represents the brilliance. And what many business owners do is they take spoonfuls of this and hand it, they feed it to their team or their partners or all those people that I just mentioned. And that's really, well, in the beginning it might be fun, but then it's really exhausting and you can't get away. And then the result of this is you're literally like handcuffed to your business. And that's what we're talking about breaking. In fact, I'm going to have a Q&A next week. I'm going to put the link and the date and all that underneath here when we're done with the live broadcast. But the thing is, I want to give you some tips right now. So you can think of your knowledge or that brilliance that I said as maybe an onion. I was talking with a client about that the other day. And so the outer layer, you're probably more aware of the knowledge there, and it's probably easier to document. So you might start there, to make information that your team needs available even when you're not there. And there's different ways of doing that. But then as you go more and more towards the core of the onion, you you're getting to a place where more and more of your knowledge is what I call unconscious competence. So that means you're not even aware fully of all the things that you do to solve problems. And the trickier those problems become, the harder it is to teach teach the solving of how you solve that problem to other people, isn't it? And that's because of that unconscious competence. So you have conscious competence and unconscious competence. The unconscious competence is what makes it the hardest to actually take 2 weeks off. So, what's the solution? Well, I've developed a method called brilliance mining, but I want to give you a couple of tips about that. It's unconscious competence, because it's unconscious, it's not teachable until you become aware of it. Now, how do you become aware of it? Well, you have to literally spot it coming up outside of you when it's needed, and to capture that moment. So there's essentially triggers that, here's a situation that triggers you doing XYZ. Now, if you train yourself to actually watch, oh, in this situation, I do this, and document it in some way, write it down. There's some quick ways of writing it down, basically like sort of shorthand initially. um, I use an app called Notion. That's a really good way. Or you could uh, record a quick video saying, hey, I had this situation, I did this XYZ thing. Or, of course, you can work with someone who actually does that for you and with you. In fact, we've put together a whole program where we teach business owners how to do it, and we help them with the implementation, and there's different levels of help, etc. But in a nutshell, you need to get into the habit of capturing the brilliance that's going on in your business. Start probably with yourself, because that is what will unlock those brilliance handcuffs. All right. Well, I hope this is helpful. I invite you to come to the Q&A. We won't sell anything, but we will, talk with you and really be interactive about this question and see how you can get very quickly to the point where you actually can take 2 weeks off and you don't have to worry about things collapsing or crumbling behind you. Have a wonderful day.